Hey guys, so this is a story of how I got accepted into my dream school and decided to leave 2 days later. Since I was in about 6th grade, I've always known I wanted to be a pastry chef because I loved baking. When someone said, "What do you want to do for a living? What do you want your profession to be?" I'd always say a pastry chef or a baker because I was in love with the process. I did it with my grandma a little bit and I did it with my mom a little bit and I really just enjoyed it. In my senior year of high school, I started a project that allowed me to combine 3 of my favorite things: baking, math, and Excel spreadsheets, which is kind of weird, but I did a class that I certified in a lot of Microsoft programs, and this led me to believe for a brief second that I actually wanted to be a math teacher more than a pastry chef, because not a lot of people enjoy math as much as I do, which is really weird, I know, but it has a system just like baking. And so I thought, well, I may not like it as much, but since I really enjoy it and not a lot of other people do, that I could put that into good use instead of becoming a pastry chef, which a lot of people actually enjoy. I continued searching for colleges for a while, both for math and baking, until about late May when I decided for sure that I wanted to become a pastry chef. People were telling me all the time, I always brought food into school and they're all saying, "You could become a pastry chef, you'd be great at it, like this is your passion." And eventually I just agreed with them. The culinary college I looked into was the Culinary Institute of America. I chose the campus at Greystone, which is in St. Helena, which I've been pronouncing Helena, St. Helena, California. It's the best culinary college in the country, if not one of the best in the world. And I've always wanted to live in California, so it seemed like the perfect idea. I applied immediately for the baking and pastry program, and I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into that application because I thought, this is all I want. This seems amazing. One morning, when I was sitting with my little sister, I got the call from the admissions counselor saying I got in, and I was ecstatic. I was about to cry. I was so excited. This was my dream come true. I immediately started packing and filling out the FAFSA and everything I needed to get admitted into this college. I paid a bunch of fees and did my parking and everything, so I was completely ready. And I quit. I had a job for 3 days and I ended up quitting it so I could spend time with friends and family before I left. On September 7th, I packed up my belongings and left my small town in Washington to move all the way to California. I said goodbye to my best friends. I said goodbye to my dogs, which was very hard, not gonna lie. And I left with my mom. My mom and I drove down the West Coast for one last family bonding adventure. So it took us about 17 hours to get there. When we finally arrived in St. Helena on September 9th is when I really started to get nervous. I realized how much I'd be leaving behind in Walla Walla and how different St. Helena was going to be. St. Helena has 5,000 people versus the 36,000 that I'm used to. And they only had one Safeway and an A&W. The rest were high-end markets, tourist shops, or high-end restaurants with about 4 stars, so everything was incredibly expensive and nothing I was used to. Places like Walmart and Target were about 45 minutes away in Napa Valley, which I guess isn't far, but it's not a fun drive. This is when I started to question if I made the right choice. So that night we went and got food and I asked my mom if we could just go back to the hotel because I was freaking out so much. I think I was mostly just nervous because of how much I was leaving home since I have travel anxiety. But then it got to a point where I wasn't sure if this was the right choice for me in general. Being 12.5 hours away from home is a huge deal. A lot of kids, yeah, they leave for college, but I'm a homebody. I just started staying the night at friends' houses in town a couple years ago because it was such a big deal for me. I never went to preschool or anything like that because my grandma was around and she just watched me, and I think that's kind of what started the homebody that I am. Because I never had to leave. I was always able to stay home with friends and family. The next morning we woke up and took my stuff to the dorms. I met my roommate who was incredibly nice and so sweet and kind of in the same position that I was with travel anxiety and everything like that. She was a homebody too. I started to feel more calm then because I knew I'd be able to get along with her. Then I realized she had a friend there, which kind of freaked me out, not gonna lie, because I knew she had someone else she knew and that she probably felt more calm. Also, her parents were about 2 hours away, which was nice for me too because they were incredibly sweet and I knew that if I needed anything, I'd be able to go to them. Throughout the first day, I went back and forth between feeling confident and absolutely terrified about my decision. I met some very nice people who I've been at the college for a couple of semesters, and I even met a guy who became my big brother within a couple of minutes because he was so incredibly sweet and said that I could go to him for anything. The second day was where I completely lost it. I woke up and broke down into tears. I told my mom I wasn't ready for this. This isn't the right choice for me. And I think we both just thought it was because I was leaving home, but it was definitely more than that. I tried to move on through the day, but a majority of it, I was just on the verge of tears or already crying. By lunch is when I really realized that leaving home wasn't the only reason that I was upset. I wasn't ready to choose a career. Yes, I know. For those of you who know me know that I've been baking forever, and this was my dream for a very long time. But part of me didn't want to do this as a career. The reason being, I enjoy recreational baking, so stuff like at home, like cupcakes and brownies. But that school was a majority of fancy plate desserts because it's such a high-end school. And that's not really what I'm interested in, which I knew, but I thought I could get through it. Also, since my project in high school, I'm very interested in being a math teacher or someone who works with Excel spreadsheets for a living. Which I never thought I'd say that to anyone else before, but it's really intriguing and really fun. And someone told me, you shouldn't do something you love for a living because you'll start to hate it. And I think that's what I was feeling inside. I don't maintain healthy friendships very well. And those of you who know me also know that, because I'll set down my phone for hours and I won't pick it up. And then I'm afraid I'll say something wrong to the person, and that'll like ruin the friendship or ruin whatever we have. Which is really hard because I make friends fairly easily. I'm fairly outgoing ever since I did cheer in high school. But keeping those friendships and leaving the house is still really hard for me. And finally, the business I started last year truly is my passion, since it combines all three things that I love. And that might sound crazy to some of you who are watching, but I'm really confident that I can move on with this and make something out of it. Even if it's not now, it might be in 10 years, but I want to continue this, and I would not be able to do that in college because the first semester, the Culinary Institute of America is absolutely crazy full of homework and projects and stuff like that. It's one of the only things that can hold my attention for hours on end. While I was doing it in high school, I would come home from sports practice and I would sit down on the computer until almost 1 in the morning just working on that because it was so much fun and I was so confident that I'd be helping a lot of people. So I quit my second day of college. I walked into the administration office and said I'm not ready. Talked to her for a long time. I cried a lot. My mom cried a lot. She was furious. Mom, if you're watching this, I am so sorry. It wasn't easy for me either. It was just too overwhelming. And does that make me a coward? Maybe. Or did I make the wrong choice? Maybe. Might never know. Am I gonna regret it? Maybe. But at this point in time, I'm not ready for that commitment. And to those of you who don't know what you want to do with your life, that is completely okay. I went 11 years thinking this is what I was gonna do, and I backed out the last minute. Literally the last minute. I moved my stuff to California and forced my mom to drive me back. Life may be short, but that just means it's too short to do the things you hate. Spend time doing things you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.